The guy with the highest IQ could just be working an odd job flipping burgers because of a lack of opportunity or interest in doing anything else. You just described Good Will Hunting. One of the smartest guys I ever met was a crack-dealing gangbanger who lived across the street from me during my hellish time in the projects of Gary. He had dropped out of high and got a near-perfect score on his GED, was saving up to move him and his baby mama and kid out of the ghetto. He was killed in a drive-by in 1993. He's probably a janitor at MIT, who likes to solve complex math equations when no one's around. Edited. Not Harvard. Or mental health issues. Some are more common in the highly intelligent. Yeah, it's actually human error to assume that every intelligent person craves money, power or status. The most intelligent people may very well just crave a peaceful life where they can acquire a lot of knowledge and seek mental challenges. So someone who can support themselves with a manual day job that requires little effort and little commitment, and spend all their free time reading books and learning new things on their own, may well be much more intelligent of an individual than a Fortune 500 CEO. It's just that one guy seeks societal approval and the other guy doesn't. Not to mention the public school system does the complete opposite of nurture gifted students and usually ostracizes them. Lack of opportunity or just luck had probably squashed many brilliant talents. I drank a bottle of water 20 minutes ago. 3 of the most intelligent people I know personally all dropped out of high school over technical BS, like PE credits required to graduate, etc., that would have required them to be super seniors. This may have already been said, but that's the story of Christopher Langland. His IQ has been tested from 195 to 210, and yet he worked as a bouncer in Long Island for 20 years and has also been a rancher and forest ranger. I think about this too, but I always imagined it's some kid in an Amazonian tribe that has never had contact with the modern world. Alexa taught me that the Guinness Book of World Records stopped recognizing highest IQ when they somehow determined that the tests were too unreliable. I've told the story of the smartest dude I know before on here. Dude was the top of the gifted program in elementary school. The guy was a total oddity because he was just like us dirty skateboarder kids. The dude still is the wittiest, with an IQ in the 140s. And the most charismatic person I know. He's not the greatest looking, but has slept with Playboy models without having to pay them or anything like that. It's almost insane how fast that dude can create a joke. The problem? He had a lot of family issues. He was abandoned by his abusive father, and later on the mother he loved that kept him out of trouble. His older sibling got massive brain damage in an accident. The whole world just didn't give a F about him. He ended up dropping out of high school. Naturally, dope took over his life. He pretty much just jerks off all day, plays video games, and smokes weed. For a while he became a two-bit hustler, into any fast and easy buck he could get his hands on. At one point he actually started a few big hustles and confidence games where he took ownership in some local businesses. Not having any idea about business, he had it effing rough. Rougher than anyone I've known. This dude was a mountain of potential, but the psychological damage of that rough life added up to make his intelligence a weapon of self-destruction. I don't think he'll ever make it to prison. He is actually too smart, but he'll probably kill himself or get killed by someone else. Dealing with the dude is a total effing nightmare too. I haven't spoken to him in years because like everyone else, he F'd me over too. I tried hard all of the time to get him to go towards something. I used to be all about personal responsibility, but honestly, it's hardwired in that dude to now be a criminal. He's as BPD as it comes. I hope one day something inspires him to turn his life around, but I doubt it will ever come. I still love the dude like a brother, but a brother I can't be around at all. The guy with highest IQ doesn't care about money and success that much. He's either suicidal or is having fun playing video games while making easy money just as much as he needs. Any ideas about the girl with highest IQ? Having a high IQ doesn't mean you make good decisions. It just means you can process info really quickly. I know someone who is super smart. He knew 8 languages and used to help me prepare for competitive exams. I would often ask him why he is not doing more. He said his children were equally intelligent, and he liked to spend his time in training them rather than trying to make more money, which didn't drive him. Last I saw him, both his children topped their universities and are currently in US pursuing PhD. He is happy for them and I am happy for him. What's wrong with flipping burgers? I'm gonna get downvoted into oblivion. I have a 168 IQ and untreated non-manic ADHD. I spend my days hating the world and playing video games. I know 2 geniuses. Like certified geniuses. They both with menial jobs, not because of lack of opportunities but because they are lazy as F and never learned how to study or try. N. His name is SpongeBob. I knew a guy in middle school who was super smart but came from a very low-income family. He skipped 2 years but didn't want to skip more and be left out. One of the other kids' dad was a stockbroker and did a fun project in our math class once a week where he taught us how to trade stocks. We did mock stock trades each week on teams of 3. Not gonna lie, the smart kid was kinda a weirdo, so no one wanted to partner with him, but he didn't bother me cause I'm also kind of a weirdo. He almost near perfectly predicted trends and tripled our profits over the 6 weeks based on math and the data presented to us. The stockbroker dad was so excited each week to show the whole class the results. This kid now works at a Jiffy Lube in our hometown and despite being made offers to go into college for free never went. He said he only graduated high school to make his mom happy and he didn't really like school. I still think about him sometimes and all that wasted potential and what would he be doing now if maybe we grew up in a time where having a degree wasn't as important as it is now if he'd had gone into tech or something. There are actually a lot of high people doing just that. They have very simple things that make them happy. It may be that they enjoy something simple like gardening or woodworking and the job they have at the hardware store happens to be enough to pay for property taxes and the little they need for their hobby. Success to them isn't measured in having a big happy family or a nice high-paying job. It's simply are they happy, and if they are happy why should they be worried about getting a better job or taking on the expense of a family? The guy with the highest IQ in the world probably has debilitating mental illness. Very high IQ has some nasty correlations. Can confirm after working 11 years in restaurants. Many very smart people are working dead-end jobs due to limited opportunities or psychological or drug issues preventing them from moving forward in life. Well, maybe he had the greatest potential, but if intelligence is not applied to anything, I think it just fades away, it becomes rusty. Also, if you don't study anything, you really can't excel in any modern field study, as a lot of very intelligent people that studied all their life got us where we are today. You are probably right, because the person is too smart to compete with others in our everyday bowls. I am, somehow, less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshops. Or he or she could be just trying to survive. If the person wasn't born in the Western world, and even if they were, it doesn't guarantee high income. It's very likely they'll be too busy with the daily struggles to become a scientist, or whatever. Only a very small selection in this world can become the best version of themselves, and it has very little to do with their IQ. Ergo, if we solve world hunger and create opportunities throughout this world, the amount of people with high IQ and a way to utilize their skills through education etc. will skyrocket. There are probably tens of thousands of Einsteins in developing third world countries. There is a difference in being smart and being motivated. Probably locked up for the criminally insane. I am, somehow, less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshops. Stephen Jay Gould, this is what those of us on the left are referring to when we talk about free education for all. For every genius we know of, there are 1,000 that never get the chance to shine, especially in third world countries. Helping these people helps all of humanity in the long run. Or just working in his garage with his grandson and the dysfunctional family, then inventing a portal gun, taking him to other dimensions in different timelines. This is a sad truth. Flipping burgers is a fun, stressful, creative field tbh. I'll probably be cooking my whole life. It's the only job I've ever stuck with because it's so damn fun. As a teacher, one of the things I've realized is that we prioritize rate of learning, not cognitive capacity. Essentially, if your circumstances aren't geared up for a focus on learning between say 10 and 18, you can be written off as non-academic. Circumstances or a lack of interest means some people just don't focus in that time scale. Yeah, and that's not a problem. Nobody owes the world at large due to being born a certain way. If he wants to cure cancer, great. If he's happy flipping burgers, that's good too. Nobody has any right to tell him otherwise. Sounds like Christopher Langland. You should read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. He looks into the circumstances that create geniuses and what allows some people to make it, whilst other, arguably more intelligent people, struggle to. Then one day we'll have an event like Good Will Hunting. IQ doesn't mean S without follow-through. Just like SpongeBob SquarePants. Odd Thomas. I know someone like this. Many of us immigrants with a college education don't have the same opportunities when we move to a country where our native language is not the main language. The degree is often useless, but you need a job, so you work flipping burgers, cleaning, etc. I read a story about a woman who was supposedly a person with the highest IQ ever registered. I think she was a simple housewife with 3 kids. When she applied for a job, a line in her resume about being a person with the highest IQ in the world didn't do anything for her. I don't say I have highest IQ, but that's exactly what I am suffering right now, lack of opportunity. The guy with the highest IQ would revolutionize the burger flip post-haste and no longer be anonymous. Want one of the highest tested IQ guy a bouncer? The great contributors to society were generally lords of leisure. UBI could be freeing these people up for greater things. That's the system for you. I'm waiting for them to make a Good Will Hunting so we can see what the girl W, the highest IQ, is doing too, but suspect it'll be a real bummer, 'cause she's probably a child bride somewhere. Nah mate, I work in an office, but will soon move to my hometown to run my mom's shop. She wants to move away and be close to my one-yo nephew. This is why we should keep the EB1 Genius visa in place. The same idea but applied to the entire world. How many geniuses are in the African bush or Peruvian mountains that could benefit humanity with their brilliance? Hey, if I have to survive, I will flip burgers, and that's not an odd job. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. Sometimes I wish it was me. Probably an Einstein in some education camp somewhere in the world. Dilbert's trash man is the world's smartest man. Per Scott Adams, if you don't understand why the smartest man in the world would work as a garbage man, you're clearly not the world's smartest man. SpongeBob. Of course I know him, he's not me. William Sidis, 250, 300 IQ, decided later in his life that he just wanted to work menial jobs. He was basically real life, or possibly the guy that inspired Will Hunting. Well, life's unfair. Then SpongeBob may be the next Einstein? Worse than that, they might not have a job at all. Having a high IQ merely means you're good at solving certain puzzles. It doesn't mean you're any good at surviving in the real world. Many people on the autistic spectrum have high IQs but struggle with normal life. Likely a burger joint would be too noisy busy for someone on the autistic spectrum. This guy kid that's part of the cleaning crew at work seems really smart, does a great job cleaning too. Maybe the guy with one of the lowest IQs on Earth is one of the most powerful and wealthy. One of the top of my class who breezed through every class, not easy for mechanical engineering, is still managing a KFC 3 years after graduation. There's basically no chance this is accurate in first world cultures countries. This definitely is a possibility in second or third world situations where an individual remains uneducated despite a high IQ, however. A high IQ is like owning a Lamborghini. If you don't know how to drive, it's just something that's nice to look at, but ultimately pointless. Also the smartest person to have ever lived in the history of humans were probably not allowed to be in school due to social class or suppression from religious beliefs. There is no good way to measure intelligence in any linear numerical way. IQ tests merely use questions that people predetermine to indicate intelligence with correct answers. They don't take in mechanical abilities or emotional intelligence, and they are dependent on a subject's familiarity and comfort with timed tests. Smartest person I've ever met worked a construction job. He enjoyed being one of the guys doing honest work. I always made sure to work with him when I could to learn as much as I could. The person that might have invented a device to ensure world peace was more than likely aborted. High IQ do also have a tendency to be accompanied with depression, substance abuse, bad social skills, or a bunch of other issues, because of things they are born with, autism being a good example, but also because of how daily life is for someone who is way ahead of their peers. High IQ people process information really fast. What seems to be complicated to other people is usually straightforward for them. As a result, they get bored easily. I know I'm repeating what everyone else is saying, but bear with me. The problem with being able to do anything is that you end up wanting to do everything. With this short lifespan, you come to realize that you probably will end up doing only one thing for the rest of your life. Couple that with the fact that most geniuses are somehow almost always born into tough lives and you have an endless cycle of wasted potential. I've met people who have trouble articulating their thoughts. They spend hours trying to explain something to you, but one random day they finally get the right words to describe their thoughts. I don't think this world is meant for geniuses. Far from it. This world works very hard to make sure geniuses don't prosper. Effing idiot could also be president. Modern society also doesn't reward the most intelligent person. Instead, it cares more about organizational fit and time spent at work, as opposed to smarter work. I am, somehow, less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshops. Stephen Jay Gould. I'm a Mensa member. I won't list my IQ because frankly I don't believe it to really be a measurement of intelligence long term. The cliché of people talking about their high IQ on the internet needs to die. Anyway, I make beer. I like making beer, also drinking beer. That's my job. Or not doing anything at all. My grandpop's a genius. Always the number one student until he became a public accountant. Then went home to sulk. Yeah, I know. SpongeBob. Yeah, but probably not though. Yeah, I'm bored as F flipping these burgers, but I stay in sharp solving S riddles at MIT. I read some time ago that one of the highest IQ on record is a guy who does bodybuilding and is a bouncer in bars. I remember another person mentioned in that article was a secretary. The guy with the highest IQ is actually just a normal dude. He's of average intelligence, because, like you said, no opportunity to do better things. He even said once that he's perfectly fine like that. SpongeBob is wasting his time in waiting for the episode. SpongeBob will reveal that Plankton was just a robot he created to test the safety of the Krabby Patty formula. He just realized that IQ tests were based on the intellect of lower IQ humans. Probably do not want the sense of responsibility that would come with it. So many politicians are not that bright, and focus on manipulating the truth for themselves and others to stay sane. Not sure someone really intelligent has an easy time fooling themselves about the ramifications of their actions. You have to be a fool in order to fool yourself. And the biggest idiot could be president due to opportunity and privilege. This is not a movie. Knew a guy who was considered just an ordinary bright kid in grammar school. Then took an IQ test when he went to high school and was discovered to have an IQ of 168, which is a genius level. But he also had brain damage from a trauma as a child that was undiagnosed and untreated. Struck on the right side of his head by a baseball bat. So he was able to read Ulysses and the Brothers Karamazovs as a high school sophomore, yet he also flunked geometry in Spanish. He was put ahead a couple of years in several classes. He won a scholarship to a film school and did well there. He had free room and board, a lot of friends and a nice girlfriend, and seemed to have a bright future as a movie maker. Then he was attacked in a dormitory by another student and suffered more brain injury. But because of the injury itself, he didn't realize it. He seemed as articulate as usual, but actually had lost all his rational, decision-making power. He dropped out of school, lost his good-time friends, and spent the rest of his life working in factory-type jobs. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to the endless night. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to hear more of the best pose.